Welcome back. And this is, I would say, is the next important part of the webinar. Well, we're going to talk about what can parents do to help. Now, the first thing that parents can do to help, right, is to create a super safe space at home. This is easier said than done because I think a lot of parents don't spend a lot of time thinking. We are not aware whether the space is actually safe, because we come back home after work, we are stressed out as well. We are drained out from the day's demands. So there is no thought given on how to make the home actually a very nurturing, safe space. Okay, so if that is difficult, let's start with some simple steps. Now, how can you make it a comforting environment? You don't have to have the latest Scandinavian furniture or warm lighting, soft lighting, none of those things. I think it starts with first you taking a break, right? You taking a break from work, actually down-regulate your nervous system, down-regulate your emotions, take a bath if that's necessary, to calm yourself down, and then make yourself available for your children, right? And you actually listen. Like, this is one of the things a lot of the students share with me, because we have this incident where parents comes to us and then they say that, oh, can you talk to my child about this and this? Like, they're not waking up in the morning on time, or they don't want to exercise. These are real things, yeah, that parents have told me. My child is not exercising. Can you advise him? Because he seems to listen to you than me. Now, the reason I think why children end up listening to me or any of the teachers here is because in order for people to listen to you, they first need to listen. They need to feel like they are listened to. They need to feel heard. A lot of parents don't do that. And I completely understand why, because you're so busy. You are tapped out after the whole day. You just want them to do the right thing immediately. So this is where having a good partnership with a good school comes handy. So what you want to do, the first step is you want to actually listen without judgment. You just want to listen, like how a therapist would listen or how a best friend would listen. Just listen. Allow them to express their feelings. So if this trust is established, or if this feeling of comfort with you is established, then trust me, that bullying incident is not going to go past you, because they're definitely going to open up and share with you, right? Then the next thing, how you can make this even more effective, is you have a regular check-in, just like how you would have a check-in with all your subordinates, at work. Have a regular check-in with your child about their day-to-day experience and what is their experience like, what are they feeling, right? So you want to have this trusting, open communication going on. Now, of course, this is a skill set that doesn't come in naturally to most people. I think maybe to certain teachers, it comes in very naturally. People who are in leadership position, maybe it comes naturally. And I've noticed even people in leadership position, they can ask these questions at work. Dekat kerja dia okay je. But they don't bring that same skill set of asking these curiosity-based questions at home. Right? So curiosity is super important. And if you feel like you don't know to ask what questions you should ask or how you should ask them, I have this special book that I've read that is really, really handy, because you want to ask questions that doesn't make the person's guards go up. You tanya soalan tu je, you tak nak dia clamp up. You don't want the kid to not open up, right? So this book was very, very handy for me to learn this skill set early on in my career as a teacher. So if you would like the title of the book, please drop us a DM and then I will let you know what the book is, because I need to go find it and let you know. Dah lama dah tak baca buku tu. Okay, so that's what you want to do. You want to learn how to ask open-ended, friendly questions that allow them to open up to you and be a shoulder to lean on. Really listen, right? Really let them feel heard, right? The next one you want to do is you want to educate your child about bullying. Okay, what do I mean by educating your child? First of all, teach them, just like how you would say, like, oh, don't talk to strangers, or don't, or make sure you look right and left before you cross the road. You also want to tell them what is bullying, what are the kind of bullying that is happening around us now, whether in other schools, in other states, other countries, how to recognize it, and make them understand fully that it is not the victim's fault for being bullied, right? And that being bullied is actually the bully's problem. It's not theirs that they got bullied. You must have this talk with them, just like how you want to have talks about safe sex or religion or whatever it is, right? These are one of those topics that you have to talk to them about. Now, after you talk to them, it's not that you talk to them and forget about it. I would say take it to the next level. What is the next level? That means you discuss different scenarios. Okay, abang, kalau dalam kelas kan, you duduk macam ni, lepas tu orang datang-datang terus bump you. Or dia curi pensel you. Ataupun dia, bila you tengah lari nak kejar bas sekolah, dia tarik bag you. Discuss all these different scenarios, right? What if people call you names? What if people say, they start teasing you about your bodily features, either your eyes, your eyebrows, your body shape. Kalau dia cakap macam ni, you cakap apa? Practice all these scenarios. So I do this at home with my son as well, because I want him to be able to respond effectively and safely if something happens. So example lah, I noticed dengan my father, right? So my father cakap kat dia, oh, if somebody wants to beat you, what do you do? Dia tak tahu. Oh, dia macam shock lah. Why would somebody gonna beat him, right? It's his fault. So then my dad said, you got to hit him back. Then of course you cannot interfere when your parents are talking. Then after my dad is talking, then I explained to him lah. I cakap, if you feel like somebody's gonna hit you, the first thing you do is you run, right? And then if you have a younger kid like mine, like 4 years old, you tell them how to run, because dia mungkin ingat, oh, run tu macam main-main, sikit-sikit. They don't know, So you got to play these different scenarios. So I said, you only try to defend yourself or harm the other person, like, if they are already harming you, and you have to do it for self-defense. And how do you do it? Like, if you have to beat, how strongly do you have to beat it? Is it like this? Is it like this? What is it to punch? You've got to practice. This is what we call true education. So you want them to be prepared when they face a bully. It's not a shock to them because you've run through the scenarios before. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is you want to encourage social skills. Why social skills are super important? You want them to play team sports or music that they do, music, art classes, anything else that they do to develop their confidence where they can make friends and feel valued. So for example, let's say this child is really good at sports, right? So they at least have the support network of the teammates. They at least know that they are valued. So if somebody tries to dismiss or diminish their value, they know that they are actually valuable. They mean something as a person. So that is where social skills come in. Then the next thing that you can do that's very related is you can build a support network. Okay. So when you're building a support network, you want to connect with other parents, your teachers, school counselors. So you want to make sure this communication with this group of people are very consistent. So what we do, like I was mentioning before at Pass Excel, we make sure this communication is super duper consistent and it is super duper close. Like what our approach towards dealing with parents is like partners. So if you notice a lot of our testimonials, this is what parents would have said, oh, I feel like I really have a partner now, like in my child's education, right? If things are getting out of hand, you already notice the impact is bad. Like you notice that the impact might need professional help. Please don't shy away from seeking professional help. It might be a counselor, might be a therapist, right? Because a lot of parents, I've noticed when they talk about therapy, they feel like it's a sign of weakness. Or they feel like, oh, my child's not crazy. My child, is not bipolar or schizophrenic. So kenapa dia kena pergi jumpa therapist, right? My child's not crazy. This is their mentality. But I think I want to reframe here that what is the purpose you go to therapy? So if your child is weak, let's say in math, would you consider your child crazy if you get them a math tutor? No, right? Similarly, if your child is weak in their emotional management, or they don't have the skill set to manage this trauma that happened to them, then what's the harm in getting a coach for that, right? So change your perception about getting professional help so they can actually help your children. Now, the next one you want to do, whenever you give something to your children, like let's say you're giving something like a phone, a tab, their own laptop, you want to make sure it is clear to them that this is a responsibility, this is a privilege that you're giving the child. So you want to empower them with responsibility. How do you do that? You want to have parental control over these devices. You want to have some sort of monitoring tools to monitor and control what's happening when they are browsing the internet. So if you have no idea, you've never used any parental tool or any monitoring tool before, just drop a comment and then we'll give you a list that we've prepared. This list is not exhaustive, of course. We initially put this list in because some parents start complaining that the kids use internet a bit too much. I don't know what to do and stuff like that. So we did it for our parents here. So of course, it's not exhaustive. You might do your own research if you want to, but if you want to get started, this list will be useful. So just drop us a comment on this webinar and then we'll get you the list to you. Okay, next one that you want to talk to them about using these devices is their digital footprint. What are they signing up for? What cookies are in their browser? What happens when people have so much data on them? How can people manipulate them online? So this is very, very important. Talk about that as well. And the third thing is you want to teach them internet safety, which means you want to teach them, basically you want to teach them critical thinking, analytical thinking. You want to teach them how to differentiate between what is true, what is fake, what is, half-truths, and what is a credible piece of information. Now, of course, we understand that this might be very difficult for parents to do because you're already swamped with so many tasks, right? Which is why at Pass Excel, we conduct this kind of community events. One of the latest one I think they've done is called Break the Fake, Identifying Fake News, which is the teachers actually train them. Okay, if this is being said, okay, they show real life examples. Okay, this is one news. Do you think it's real or is it fake? How do you analyze? How do you cross-check for references before believing that something is true or fake? Right? So this is very important in order to empower our children with the skill set necessary to face bullies, right? The next one is choosing the right school. So I cannot emphasize this enough. The environment where your children grows up in is super duper important. So before you choose the school, I think you want to ask them about what is their school policies about bullying. What will happen if my child is actually bullied by 3 other people? If you dismiss, would you choose to dismiss the other 3 kids? You want to ask this kind of hard questions. The reason why I'm saying this is a lot of brand name schools that have big brands, what they advertise themselves as is zero bullying policy. And you can read their reviews, you can even ask people who've been there. That seems to be not true when it comes to execution. And the reason for that is because it doesn't make sense when you are a profit-oriented business. Because if I were to dismiss 3 kids to safeguard 1, I've lost 3 incomes, right? And schools, I don't think so most of them operate with that big of a margin. Now here at Pass Excel, it functions differently. Let me tell you a story, right? So we've had one kid, that time the mother came to the office, so she wanted to speak to us. And then we had trial class that time. So the boy decided to join the trial class there using his computer because the classes are all online. It's only that the admin office is physical, right? So he went into the class. Before that, the mom was explaining what is his problems and everything. We were listening, right? So the mom already said, his grades are not doing very well and he's getting into bad company and whatever not. And so happened the trial class that he was going into, it's a mixture of our students plus some other kids who are coming for trial class, right? So when he went in after he finished the class, I think it took about an hour. I was talking to the mom. When he came out, he was stomping out angry, right? Because before he went in itself, he asked me, is there going to be people of my race in there? Is the teacher going to be a person of my race? And then I said, why does it matter? He said, oh, because my English is not so great. Then I said, but I understand you fine, right? Like, I understand you fine. There's no problem in your English. And the teacher can definitely understand your language, right? Like if you speak in English, the teacher's going to understand. And then after the class, he stomped out, super angry. And then he said, oh, I don't know, I didn't like the class. There was nobody, people of my kind in there. So I asked him, what do you mean not your kind of people? Then refused to comment further, right? Because I think nobody wants to come across as racist. But so happened, the class he's supposed to join, we had a student who was previously bullied. And when we did his discovery session, we noticed that he has a high tendency to be bullied. And of course, all this behavior tied up. There's many other small signs that tied up to show that he can be a bully. He's quite a racist. So what we did was we didn't accept him for that semester. We told the mom, sorry, we just don't accept this kind of students into our school. And I remember very clearly, the mom got really, really pissed. The mom got so pissed because the mom said, oh, who actually rejects a paying customer? You really don't know how to do business and whatever not. So I'm like, yeah, that's true. That makes sense. I really don't think I know very well on how to do business, but I do know how to safeguard my students and my children, right? Because when a kid comes to us, they're like our children. A teacher, I always felt like a teacher is the second parent because they spend so much time with us. So it is our duty to safeguard our kids, right? So we didn't take the kid in. Of course, we made a lot less profit that year, but it doesn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, the transformation we create, I think, fills us a lot more than what would have happened if we brought the boy in and it damaged the dynamics for the other students, right? So you want to really make sure you choose the right school. That's super duper important. The environment is really important. Now we get to the interesting part of today's webinar, which is in case your child is not being bullied, what can you do to stop it from happening in the first place? Okay, the first thing that you want to do, you want to build resilience. And how do you build resilience? So you make sure you can build strong kids. So what is the basis of building kids who have strong resilience or strong emotional safeguards, right? It starts with building super good relationship so with yourself and the kid, so they can stand up to bullies. Okay, because like I mentioned before, bullying is hard to spot until it's a bit too late. So if you have this strong relationship, yes, that can act as the biggest prevention that you want. The next thing is you want to teach your kids on how to know their worth and be really good at setting boundaries. So what does this mean? We teach our children on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. How should they be treated and how they should not be treated, like I told you. Like, you want to teach them, okay, if somebody says this, is that good behavior? If somebody behaves a certain way, is this a good behavior? So you want to run all these examples so they can tell you what is the difference between a nice and a mean action. So, because a lot of the reasons why the kids cannot do that is because they are brought up in an environment where they need to make other people happy, right? I mean, this is generally all our upbringing because we are taught to be, nice to people, to the borderline of being people pleasers. So if we don't teach our kids the difference between nice and mean, it's going to be very hard for them to spot a bully as well. Then the next thing you want to teach your kid, if they have not been bullied before, to avoid this forever, is to choose their friends wisely. Friends who will stick with them in case they are being bullied, who will protect them, and of course, friends who will not turn into bullies. You want to teach your kids how to spot these things and avoid the bad people, right? Okay, and then after that, there's two more things that you need to do in order to prevent bullying from happening. One is teaching them how to be brave to speak up, because a lot of the problems, like I said, it's left undiscovered because we don't encourage children to share their feelings, their choices, their thoughts, right? We want to make sure they can do this confidently so that we can avoid the whole bullying scenario. And lastly, we want to make sure that we have good control over their social media usage and their device usages, because cyberbullying is real and it is very subtle. Sometimes you don't know until it has progressed to a great deal. So you also want to teach them on how to use social media safely, how to use the phone safely. So these are some of the preventive measures that you can take in order to avoid your kid from being bullied. Now, we've covered a lot today, right? I hope you take back home with you the most important things that I've mentioned. Again, I would just like to reiterate that protecting your child from bullying is not a sign of weakness. We've seen why you might feel that it's a sign of weakness. We've gone through in detail, right? And then we've also seen why you should stop the blame game, why you should not blame your children in case they get bullied. We've discovered how we can spot the signs of bullying, and we've gone in detail about how parents can help to reduce or mitigate the impact, as well as prevent it from happening to their children if this hasn't happened yet. Now, I hope this session has been super useful for you, super valuable to you. If you have any questions, at all, please drop them in the comment section. If you would like to share your story, please do so in the comment section. If you feel like you want to share, but it's a bit more personal, and then please feel free to DM us. One of the team members will reach out to you and put you in touch with me if it's necessary, or else they are more than capable of handling. So if you have any questions and if you have any topics that you want me to talk about in the future, please drop that in the comment section as well, and we will get it out as soon as possible. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead and see you in the next episode.